Welcome to the podcast. I, Sakshi Malpani, with my three other panelists, Puneet, Anmol, and Shweksha. We are here for the new podcast on the topic Worldly Woes and Economic Echoes. We are here to unravel the impact of global events on our economy, on the global economy. So, without uh, any sort of understanding of international event to unravel this topic, it will be very difficult. So, international events are basically events which influence the global trade and uh, and the financial markets and the overall economy. So that's what international events play a significant role on. So over to Puneet.
So let's start with the first of and the most important topic, which is the COVID-19, which happened in the 2020 during 2020, and the impact is like that. It was started in China. It was a small thing, but it goes global. Just like we say that every event happens in any country can impact everyone in around the world, and that leads to the uh, hamper in the supply chain and all, and it leads to the mindset, in the thinking that whether we, just depend on the China or to other countries as well. So that's where it all started, where the China One Plus policy began, and every country is trying to be independent of everything they are trying to manufacture and become a self-dependent. So in this way, we can, see the best example that how the this, some small event occurred to all over the world and leads to the devastation of this global economy, and led to the many changes which we are seeing right now. And likely there are now other issues like the Russia-Ukraine war, which we can see that how it is impacting the whole world. So if we say about that, the trading thing, the whole export import thing has impacted a lot. So yeah, it's very bad for the economy.
Yeah, so I think COVID-19 has really affect our economy. First, I think we have to congratulate ourselves. Our India has reached 4 trillion economy. In
Yeah.
today's news, I have read it. So first, we have to congratulate, and second, like yes, in during COVID-19, many countries has affect the economy. So India has also like all imports and exports were banned, and like whole markets and everything will has shut down. So it has majorly affect the economy. Yeah. So and now after this Russia and Ukraine war has also now affecting. So with these factors, India and many countries are developing, and many countries are growing, and this is the result, how India became its economy became 4 trillion, reached 4 trillion. So I think many countries are growing like India.
Yeah, talking about Russia and Ukraine scene, I think that Russia has faced, more sanctions than other countries. Like if we see in world wars, not any not any such country has seen such kind of conditions that you can't export this thing, you can't import these kinds of things. Like one-sided burden on Russia, and it has also played a role to decline the economy of Russia. And I think the Russia is facing the most
I
heat.
guess the impact which has been created through Ukraine-Russia war is significant all over the world. Like not just the countries, both of the countries have faced it, but whole world is being affected by it, and definitely it is being showcased. Like as we all know that the petrol prices and maybe the petroleum products prices got increased because of that war, because sanctions were imposed on Russia, but the world was facing its consequences. So I feel that whatsoever issue is going on in the worldwide, whatsoever international event take place, have an impact on the world economy as well as on the nation's economy. So not
Yeah,
just only the
yeah,
yeah.
that's a good point. But the thing is that there are many geopolitical things are happening. Like if we say about that, why Western countries are so keen to support Ukraine, because first of all, they are the part of NATO, which originally made against Russia. And there is one thing that if Ukraine, like we can see that Ukraine is being destroyed, like half of the Ukraine is whole destroyed. So we can say that many international companies from Europe and many from USA are trying to capture the Ukraine market of real estate. Like because after the war, they are going to be the one who developed the Russia who developed the Ukraine again. So this leads to the bigger market for them as well. And this how the small NATO tension between the Russia and the Ukraine leads to this whole fledged war. And just you can see that Ukraine is not gonna be the member of NATO as right now. He is not the member, and the half country has been destroyed. These kinds of geopolitical things, can lead the benefits for many like US, who can supply the arm to Ukraine and earn weapon manufacturing companies are earning a lot from these. And yeah, Russia is getting more and more painful things because of these sanctions. But if we say the most sanctioned country, it is North Korea, if I'm correct, not Russia, but yeah, it is one of the most sanctioned country.
But as you mentioned, NATO. So I would like to also mention that G20 is also formed, to make an proper sort of emphasis that on the global economy and the financial, financial things as well. It's basically two countries summing up together for the global causes. And obviously, not everybody is part of this, but whosoever is a part of G20, like India is a part of G20.
Yeah,
So
major
they're
economy.
having, yeah, definitely. And they're having a proper sort of, uh, decision-making process in that. And it sort of bring financial stability to all those countries, and they're working for the welfare of economy on the global context. So
Yes,
as we
I
are
agree on this point. I think we all have to participate in this G20, as not only it's about Russia or Ukraine or some other countries. It's all about whole world. Everyone is affecting with this war. Everyone is affected with that COVID-19. So I think we all have to participate in this G20, and we all have to collaborate with other countries like India, which India has, it has to export something, and which other country has benefits, they have to import something in our country. So we have to collaborate, and we have to deal with like a one nation, which is a
Yeah,
main motto
regarding
of this G20.
Yeah, regarding the collaboration, there was one collaboration thing which we were going to do with the countries like Arab countries, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and with the Europe countries. It was the Europe Arab corridor, which was connecting India with the Europe directly from the Saudi Arabia to the Europe. So, but the problem was that at that time when this plan was, come into action, there was happened that the Hamas, incidentally just attacked the Israel with the 80 plus rockets. I mean, in the thousands of rockets, yeah. So it leads to the war against the Hamas, and which this small, I mean, it's a major thing, but what it leads to that the thing where which we ever gonna see like the Saudi Arabia and the Israel coming together, like we can say the Saudi Arabia is the representative of the Muslim world, and if the Saudi Arabia and Israel coming together, it will lead to the one of the best thing which can happen. But because of this war, now what we are seeing that Saudi Arabia is not agreeing with this thing. Like if we try to give the road passage to the Israel to the Europe, it will lead to the Saudi Arabia is with the Israel and against the Muslim world. So yeah, the small thing, matters a lot because America was saying that we are going to make a history by signing the accord between the Israel and Saudi Arabia, and now we can see that Iran and Saudi Arabia are both condemning the Israel because of this. Why they are trying to, stop the Israel. And yeah, these kinds of geopolitics also happen because it only benefits the Iran. Because if this trade route got connected, Saudi Arabia will become the most beneficial country because of this connection, and Iran gets lost because there's other route which leads from Chabahar ports through Iran to Turkey to Europe. So yeah, these are the two ways which India is thinking, but that was the thing that which connects the Europe to India. But the thing is where one country is the Russia, which is representing the Chabahar port Iran side corridor, and the other where America is, where the connection was through the Saudi Arabia, UAE, Israel, and through Europe. So yeah, these kinds of things also happen where you can see the small events can affect the whole geopolitics.
Definitely, it really happens like this. Also, I would like to mention that in all these things, other than this oil prices things, I guess USA is one major country who is, taking decisions for the global economy. Like as we all know that dollar is, considered basic currency for any sort of exchange.
Yeah.
That's how
Exchange.
USA is ruling all over the
Yeah.
world
Yes, and
too.
US is I think printing they I think they don't have any restrictions on printing their currency as well.
Yeah.
So they are
Because of the demand.
dominating.
They are dominating
Yeah,
other countries
yeah,
over, I feel that
I think,
in the
and
coming
yeah,
because
years,
of that, our Indian rupee is considered like in less
inferior to
amount. So
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
inferior to that.
inferior to that,
अभी मतलब
definitely.
ऐसा नहीं है। अभी बिल्कुल ऐसा कहना मतलब काफी जल्दी होगी। बट ये है कि डॉलर की जो प्रिंटिंग का जो उनके पास में राइट है, वो उसको मिसलीड ना कर दे, उसको लेकर के अभी वर्ल्ड टेंशन अभी स्टार्ट हो चुका है। और अभी डॉलर को एक्सेप्ट करना काफी सारी कंट्रीज ने कम कर दिया है। तो अभी
Yes,
जैसे कि हम देख सकते हैं कि
because
Yeah,
of
yes.
that, their dominating nature.
Yeah, and there's
Now
one point
we all
also
are not accepting that.
like after the war of Russia and Ukraine, the Russian, asset have like 600 plus $1 million in the dollar currency, and the US, because of this war, US just freeze that amount in their American banks, and that leads to the thinking of the other countries, yeah, that if we are gonna come in a tension with America, they are gonna seize our dollar currency as well, and that way we can say that America is not giving the dollar as the exchange currency, but it also using or weaponizing the dollar against the other countries. That's why the recently we are seeing a lot and lot of progress by India, by China using their local currency. As you can see, the Saudi Arabia is also trying to accepting Chinese yuan for the oil payments for the China. And India is also trying to change this policy. And like we can see the Sri Lanka and recently maybe Nepal, they are trying to accept the Indian rupee for their currency exchange for their import and export.
So, because I feel in the global markets, India is now somewhere considered developed country in terms of resources.
Yes.
Like the way they are producing for themselves and also supplying goods all over the world, they are considered, developing countries also. I would like to mention that it is in developing stage, not developed.
Yeah.
But in the overall global summary, I would say that India is developed in more or less many things nowadays. And
Yeah.
in the global scenario, as I see, India is contributing way more than it was in the past years. In all the terms, rather it be increasing the financial resources or maybe increasing the manpower. It is way more ahead now as it was in the past times.
Yeah, recently I was also, reading the report that where the report has also mentioned that like Walmart and Amazon, they are increasingly trying to increase the import from India to US and reducing their reliance from China. And why this all happening? Because of this COVID policy where, China was putting so much, pressure on the people to, restrict the people following the lockdown and all because of these disruptions in the supply chain. And the second reason was the America-US tension, America-China tension, because as we can see, the China is a growing power. The China has a immense military power and all. Like the recent report are also showing that China will surpass the US by some few years. So these all things shows that how America feeling miserable against China because China is not only dominating in many things, and now they are coming with the strategies like dominating the other countries with their debt trap, and this will all leads to the America China trade war, and that leads to the India's gain, because if China lost, India will definitely gain as one of the biggest populated country. So yeah, this all
Yes.
kinds of things leads to the increase in export from India to other countries, like we are seeing regular basis, like iPhone also started manufacturing in India. Tata is now becoming the one of the key player of manufacturing iPhones. Yeah, these are small steps can lead to the betterment of the
So
world as
India
well
is
as.
now also developing, and yeah, in technological way, in many like in tourism, and in many ways India is developing now. So we can't
Yeah,
say it like India is not that much developed now, because
Definitely,
India is trying to, yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Tech-
In the COVID times, we all have seen how, in the healthcare facilities, how India provided vaccines to other countries. Like, not just only be self-sufficient in our terms, in the global context, I would say that India was providing vaccines to other countries too. And as
Yes,
a sort of,
in the
in the
toughest time,
toughest time.
India was the first one, like who started to
showing
produce
friendly
the,
gestures. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
yeah. One of the early producers of the vaccines. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
and I
these
think
kinds
कोविड
of
19 के मतलब
yes.
एंड आई थिंक कि कोविड 19 के कारण इंडिया को काफी ज्यादा बेनिफिट मिला है मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में, जैसे कि आपके मतलब टेक्नोलॉजी में तो इंडिया ऑलरेडी अपग्रेडेड था, काफी अच्छी खासी टेक्नोलॉजी है इंडिया के पास में। बट ये है कि उससे जीडीपी नहीं चलती है, जीडीपी चलती है एक्सपोर्ट्स और इंपोर्ट्स पे। इंपोर्ट्स ऑलरेडी इंडिया बहुत ज्यादा करता है, और अब इंडिया के पास में कोविड 19 के बाद में इतना अच्छा गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी आई कि वो एक्सपोर्ट भी कर रहा है, और एक्सपोर्ट काफी अच्छी तरीके से हो रहा है। इंडिया के अंदर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी हो रही है, और पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है कि इंडिया अब आर्म्स में भी एक्सपोर्ट कर रहा है। डिफेंस
Hmm.
Yeah.
सेक्टर में भी कुछ कुछ सर्टेन परसेंट अब ऐसा मतलब आई डोंट रिमेम्बर द एग्जैक्ट परसेंटेज, बट या इंडिया इज नाउ एक्सपोर्टिंग
Yeah,
आर्म्स टू
because
अदर कंट्रीज।
just yes, because of these exporting things from the India is now have reached 4 trillion GDP, and because before this, GNI per capita of India was in negative. Imports were greater than the exports. India was not exporting things before this, so now India is also exporting some things related to technological, related to many farmers and pharmacies and many things. So
Yeah,
India is now
pharmaceutical
also
things.
developing.
Yeah. So let's
Agriculture
रिगार्डिंग
projects
talk.
are
फार्मर्स,
also exporting from India
Yeah.
now.
So
या
if we talk
रिगार्डिंग
about the
फार्मास्यूटिकल इंडस्ट्री,
yeah, yeah.
you go.
So
Regarding
I would like
pharmaceutical
to
industry,
just
hmm,
okay. So I would
आप
just
बोलिए आप
like to
बोलिए।
divert our mind from India as well. So if we talk about the 2008 financial crisis, and
Yeah.
recently the America is facing the financial crisis related to the banks. The many banks got shut down because of that,
Yeah.
and what it leads to, this, what it shows that how America is, not have a better control on their banks, just like our RBI have on a better control on our banks. And there are many banks which there are many American banks which originally made to give loans to the startups. And what we are now trying to see, what we are seeing in the recent days, that Indian startups which were taking loans from the American banks, now taking loans from the Indian banks. Recently, we have seen the example of the Gift City, where Gift Bank has established and providing the financial assistance to the many startups. They are trying, they are placing faith to our Indian banks, just like the Indian companies, like the foreign institutional investors, showing faith to Indian companies. The startup, people who are doing the startup, showing faith to the Indian banks and taking the loans from the Indian banks like Gift City, Gift Bank. So yeah, these kinds of all things also, we are seeing, nowadays that like yeah, people are showing trust in India and the global world is changing.
I guess there, as you mentioned, that 2008 financial crisis, that was the hardest time for not just one, USA, but for all the
all
countries.
over the world.
The recession which laid, so many jobs were, devastated because of that. People were unemployed. It had a wholesome impact on the economy. And I would say it is still considered one of the bad days, on in the financial crisis world. I would say it is considered a black day. So
Yeah,
that's what impact has been created by that crisis, that still maybe some impacts are
yeah,
shown.
one of the one. Yeah. So I would just like to, in the end, I would just like to conclude one thing that it is not, it doesn't matter how, no, it is matter that how big country is, because India is affecting the whole world, is affecting US, is affecting the whole world, is affecting, just like we have seen the Russia-Ukraine war, the whole world. But if we talk about the countries which are just the neglected part of the world, like North Korea, if they are like this, it doesn't matter how the world gonna face any problem. Like Afghanistan, there are many problems, there are many things happening in Afghanistan, but it doesn't hamper the world economic order. So it originally depend how the country made it important to all around the world. Like India is showing that it is the one of the most important thing, and you can't consider India out and take a decision. Just like we have seen the recently, like Argentina, it is, it has become one of the country which is known as the country of beggars, because Argentina's
Yeah.
economy is very, very, in a short down point. And it is not like Argentina's economy is affecting any world order and all. So it all shows that how country make its importance to the world. Like Saudi Arabia, they are the one of the big oil importers, exporters. So if anything happens to the Saudi Arabia, oil price can become the one of the major problem, and whole world got affected. Just like we have seen right recently nowadays, like European Union is becoming the one of the hot topics for every country. Every country trying to get the European market to African market, African countries market, and just like India is growing, African Union is also growing too fast with the huge population of youngsters. So yeah, in the end, I would just like to say it is important for a country to be, part of the representation. And just like India is, growing, showing the example to the world, how you can lead the world, it is very important for any country to show their importance in any way.
Definitely. Like to conclude with all the things which each one panelist have considered in this podcast, I would say that the global economy is a complex and, interconnected web. What events are taking place in any part of the world have significant consequences for other regions too. Meanwhile, on the trade adjustments and the financial markets together, they are creating a network of, interdependencies, I would say that. And obviously the world is huge, and nations have their own places all amongst the masses, and they truly showcases how in whatever context they are growing, and if they are capable enough, they will be able to make a name for themselves in whatever context it would be. So I would say that global events definitely play a major role on the world economy, and it will continue to do so. But the nations will continue to come up with new techniques and the new skill sets, and the upgradations will definitely take place. So thank you everyone.
बिल्कुल मतलब जैसे कि अपन देख सकते हैं फ्रॉम मेनी इयर्स लाइक नाइन लाइक 1929 then then 1991 India problem and then 2007 we have seen that कोई भी कंट्री हो उनके पास में कोई ना कोई न्यू सोल्यूशन हर बार आता ही आता है और हम लोग उस चीज से उभरते हैं विद न्यू थिंग्स हम लोग काफ़ी सारी नई चीज़ें एक्सेप्ट करते हैं, काफ़ी सारी नई चीज़ें हम बनाते हैं, जिसके कारण हम लोग हमारी इकोनॉमी को रिवाइव कर पाते हैं। इकोनॉमी रिवाइव करना, इकोनॉमी चलाना काफ़ी एक हार्ड एक हार्ड वो है स्टेप है। जिसको हर एक गवर्नमेंट बहुत अच्छे से हैंडल करती है बट लाइक अर्जेंटीना अर्जेंटीना बेगर्स की कंट्री हाँ बिल्कुल आपको पता नहीं होगा बट मतलब काफी लोगों को पता नहीं होगा बट अभी तो हमको ये लगता है कि पाकिस्तान काफी ज्यादा मतलब वर्ल्ड बैंक से मांगती है बट अर्जेंटीना वहां पे ऑलरेडी पहले है बहुत पहले से है और फर्स्ट नंबर पे ही है अर्जेंटीना
It
एंड
all, it all just depend on how impactful that crisis is. Because, Argentina's crisis, it doesn't matter for the other countries, but the China, India, Russia, or even, Saudi Arabia's crisis are one of the things that matters other countries. So yeah, it is
Definitely,
the
Yes.
that's
So basically, how
impacting thing.
crisis affecting your country's economy and how you are dealing with that crisis.
Yeah, that's
With,
the important.
so that's the most important thing, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
तो सारी कंट्री मेरे ख्याल से जो मेजर चैलेंज मेरे ख्याल से था 2007 का लेमन ब्रदर्स वाला, जिसको अभी अपन ने डिस्कस भी करा है, और उसको मेरे ख्याल से इंडिया ने काफी अच्छी तरीके से उसको हैंडल करा है,
that they are
क्योंकि
successful.
अब जो 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 घर की जो मतलब प्लॉट्स की जो कीमत थी वो काफी ज्यादा गिर गई थी, और उस समय भी इंडियन इकोनॉमी ने सरवाइव किया है। वो भी काफी ज्यादा मतलब अच्छी बात है। हम लोग ये देख सकते हैं कि हमारी इकोनॉमी काफी सारी चीजों के लिए ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड है। और अभी भी आज के टाइम पे कोविड-19 में भी ऐसा नहीं था कि भाई इंडियन इकोनॉमी कहीं खराब हुई। इंडियन इकोनॉमी चल रही थी। इंडियन गवर्नमेंट का सबसे ज़्यादा मेजर रोल ये था कि गवर्नमेंट ने एक बहुत अच्छा पैकेज लाई थी इंडिया के लिए, और उस पैकेज के कारण ही काफ़ी अच्छे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स चल पाए, जिसके कारण जॉब्स हैम्पर नहीं हुई ज़्यादा। अपन इंडिया के अंदर अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट की बात करते हैं तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट थी, बट मेरे ख्याल से उसको इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने हेल्प किया। और सिमिलरली वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी की बात करूँ तो वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमी में भी कोविड-19 ने काफ़ी मेजर रोल प्ले किया था उनको खराब करने के लिए। काफ़ी खराब हुई भी हैं, काफ़ी ठीक हुई, काफ़ी रिवाइव हुई, काफ़ी हो रही हैं अभी, और मेरे ख्याल से होंगी।
Okay, so definitely to conclude with our podcast, I would say that each one of us can conclude one point that this thing, global is continue, they will definitely continue, and the events will definitely impact the global economy, whatsoever the thing is, and the nations will have their significant impacts over them. And thank you to all the panelists for today for joining up. And thank you to all the listeners for your support and your valuable time. Thank you.